Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Washington interviews of candidates for Supreme Court justices in the August primary. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We never support a party or a candidate. My name is Wendy Colbert, and my guest is Colleen Melody, who is running for position 1 on the Washington State Supreme Court. We are asking all candidates for this office the same 4 questions. Each candidate has up to 90 seconds to answer each question, and the answers are timed. This video of candidate Melody's responses will remain on our website until after the primary elections on Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. Candidate Melody, thank you very much for agreeing to this interview and seeking to serve in public office. Our first question is, what are the benefits of being or not being a judge before running for the state Supreme Court?
So I think there are benefits both ways. I really value the experience of my colleagues on the Supreme Court who have prior trial court experience. They have experience serving either one particular county or maybe as an appellate judge, serving a few counties, a combination of counties. Because they know those counties really well and they have experience, overseeing judicial matters. I also think it's really helpful to have experience like mine, which is not particular to judicial service, but instead is really focused on statewide service. Because I was a litigator, a person who brought investigations and lawsuits all over the state in something like 34 of 39 Washington counties. And so that allowed me to be in courtrooms all across the state, to walk alongside people of all walks of life, and to really experience the way access to justice operates or doesn't in communities from Spokane to Seattle and Tacoma, from the Palouse to the Yakima Valley and to the Peninsula. And so I think when we have those combination of experiences, it allows us to really understand the cases before us in a little bit of a deeper way, and to leverage everybody's experience around the table, all 9 of us, when we make decisions that are going to affect our Washington neighbors.
Thank you. Our next question is, how would you approach a case in an area of law with which you have no knowledge or experience?
This is an important question because it is the bread and butter of what justices on the Supreme Court do. No case, virtually no case, is like one that has come before. And so we have to become experts in doing exactly what you've described, Wendy, which is getting up to speed on areas of law that are new to us. And I think what I do is what I've done, because that was part of my practice and career, was quickly pick up new pieces of law, whether it's in the areas of employment, education, healthcare, credit, insurance. I practiced bankruptcy law. I had complex financial matters. And so doing that requires a deep study initially of what is the doctrine and this area of law look like right now? How did it develop? Let's read all of the cases that brought this area of law into being and all the statutes, constitutional provisions, and regulations that currently govern this area. Then we look at the parties briefing. The parties are allowed to point us to their arguments, as well as the arguments of any amicus briefs, which is fancy for a friend of the court, that come in and that might have perspective. And we do dozens and sometimes hundreds of hours of research before ever sitting on the bench to hear argument in a particular case. And having that kind of in-depth appellate experience is absolutely crucial to doing this job, because it requires deep study and deep research before ever putting pen to paper.
Thank you. When is it appropriate for the judiciary to overturn a statute or popular referendum?
So rarely, we defer to the policy judgments of the legislature, including the people, when they exercise their right to legislate under the Washington Constitution. And we try, our main goal is to give effect to the intent of those legislators, whether, again, in the legislature or the people directly. But all legislators have to pass laws that comply with the constitutional requirements. And so that's the circumstance that we're looking for when there's a challenge based on, hey, this piece of legislation may be serving the policy goals of the legislature, but it doesn't comply with this provision of the Constitution, or it violates that provision of the Constitution. And so those are the types of challenges that we review legislation for. And it's rare that we would set aside a policy judgment of either the people or the legislature, but it's also vitally important that we be willing to do it when the legislation steps outside of those limitations. That is the primary role of the judiciary as a third whole branch of government, which is to make sure that both the legislative branch and the executive branch are kind of complying with the rules of the road. That's the role we play in our three-part form of government.
Thank you. Our final question is there a judge or justice in history or today who you most admire and why?
Well, I'll give you two. So I'll give you Justice Mary Yu of the Washington Supreme Court, who retired last fall and whose seat I now sit in. Although no one ever replaces Justice Yu, but you can sit in her seat. You know, she was a trailblazer in many ways. But the things that I admire most about her were her voracious work ethic and her unflagging commitment to public service. She really, really walks the walk. She still does in terms of her commitment to serve her community and always to stand up for justice and what is right, even if that is really hard work, a lot of travel, and just putting your shoulder to the wheel all of the time. I really admire that example of public service, and it's an honor to sort of learn from her. And the second example I would give you is Justice Elena Kagan on the US Supreme Court. For somewhat similar reasons, she works really hard. She's the most prepared at oral argument. Her writing is very clear. And she also does a nice job of always trying to anticipate the practical consequences of the Supreme Court's decisions for real people. And that's important to me because law is meant to serve real people and people on the ground in Washington. It's not for academics or for high-minded elites. It's for us. And so when judges do the work to anticipate the effects of their rulings in the rulings themselves, I think it's an act of public service, and I admire it.
Thank you. And once again, thank you for giving the public this insight into your views and values. Viewers, please remember to vote by August 4th. You can deposit your ballot in any of the official ballot drop boxes located throughout the state. If you prefer to mail your ballot, it must be postmarked by August 4th to be counted. If you are mailing your ballot after July 27th, we recommend you hand it directly to a postal clerk and request a postmark at the counter. You may also return your ballot in person at any county auditor's office. When in doubt, always use a drop box. A complete list of Dropbox locations is included in your voter's pamphlet. Voters can find additional information about these and other candidates for state and federal offices by visiting vote411.org. This concludes our candidate interview.